Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Casey. Today, we're going to talk about buyers. We're going to talk about market conditions, the opportunities for buyers, the difference between a person in 2010, one couple says, I'm going to rent. The other couple says, I'm going to buy. Where are those two couples today? I can tell you, it's really that question of owning versus renting. You've got to do it. When's the best time to do it? Now. Even if the prices go down a touch over a period of time, the equity buildup in the house just really weighs the scale for buying as opposed to renting. So let's talk about the market conditions first, okay? And I'm going to switch you over here. I'm going to switch my screen to your guys so you can take a look at this. Let's take a look at where we are in the market, because this is important to buyers and sellers. I spend a lot of time on market conditions. I spend a lot of time understanding where interest rates are going, where the inventory is. We're going to explain that here. So the treasuries is where everything starts, right? All the chatter you hear about jobs reports and inflation, CPI, unemployment, it all really can be seen here on the 10-year treasuries. They move up and down based on whether people think interest rates are going up or down. Now, if we look at this chart, now the 30-year fixed are usually, normally, historically, 1.7% above this rate. So if it's 1.5 or it's 4.5 like we see here, then the interest rates on 30-year fixed should be somewhere around 6.2, 6.25. They're currently at 6.75. So there's still a little room for that to come down. But let's take a look. The 10-year treasuries went up to about 4.7%. And over the last couple days, they've fallen back down to 4.5%. Interest rates have gone from over 7 to about 6.75. So now, we're back in the sixes when we're talking about interest rates. We'll keep an eye on this, but this is one of the indicators you want to look at, where rates are headed. Let's look at inventory, because this is very important. Now, what happened was, with no inventory on the market, prices shot up. Since 2020, prices have gone up about 38 to 40%. It's a pretty dramatic increase, right? That is basically, even though rates have risen, which drives prices down, prices have gone up because there's nothing to buy. A person sitting on a 2.5% mortgage is not selling his house. He's going to sit on it. So over the past couple of years, the inventory has been down dramatically, 20, 40, 50, 60% from where it was over a 10-year average. So we're dealing with that, and we're keeping an eye on it to see, is it coming back, Now, the numbers you see right now, these are for the counties. Fairfax County and all, up 40%. Loudoun County, up 42%. So you can see that compared to last year, we've recovered. We're not as bad as we were last year. But last year's terrible. So, what I'm really looking at is 10-year averages. Peak was in 2016 and 15 and 16. So I'm kind of comparing that. We're really not where we used to be, better than we were though. So you can see on these charts, Fairfax County still down 25% in their inventory compared to a 10-year average, better than 40% where we were. So let's take a look at some of the markets we look at. Vienna, okay? So this is why I do this, because there's a big difference between markets. So Vienna, the inventory is up 68%, okay? They're having a real boom in inventory. Well, what does that mean? That means buyers have more opportunities and sellers need to be more conservative. You can't be aggressive when you have an overflow of inventory. You need to be a little bit more conservative with your pricing. You can't just say, I want this number, because you got too many competitors out there. So you need to watch where you are. Haymarket, inventory is down 3%. So Haymarket is just as bad as it was last year, right? They're down 64% from where they were at their peak, 46% from where they were over their 10-year average. So if I'm talking to a seller in Haymarket or a buyer in Haymarket, my strategy is entirely different than if I'm in Vienna, where I've got an overload of inventory at this time. Look at Centerville's up 43%, Aldi's up 77%. So again, in general, by county, we're up about 40%. Okay, 42% from last year. Now, again, there's two things I really like to look at. The first one is inventory up or down. The second one is success rate. Now, success rate means if there are 10 total houses on the market, how many are active, how many are pending or under contract with no contingencies. There's one other status, it's called A/C, which is active with contingency. And I still don't consider those to be successes because they still have contingency. And I think contingencies are dangerous as hell. They have to sell a house. They have to do a home inspection. The word active means you can still come and show the house and kick that contract out. So, a lot of them have kick out clauses, so I don't consider that a success. So the question is, if 10 homes are on the market, how many of them are still active and how many of them are pending, right? So pending means the success rate. Now, if you are under 40% success rate in your market, the buyers have control of the market. It means there's more homes active than there are pending. Conversely, if you're at 60% or higher, right, now you've got an incredible seller's market. Let me give you an example. So in our market you look at here, this is on homes under $1 million. We are at pretty much in the mid 40s, right? So what does that tell you? We're getting very close to a buyer's market under $1 million in all of our markets here in Northern Virginia. If you look here, these are homes over $1 million, or the success rate of the homes over $1 million. They're in the 30s. So what does that tell you? That says the buyer's market is in full force and effect over $1 million. Now, let's stop here. All of our homes that we're listing, and again, every week is a new week. All of the homes going on the market have been getting at least 100,000 over list price, some 120. Now, in order to do that, you need to A, price it correctly and test that price to make sure you are at the right number and people are coming to see your home. That's number one. Two, make sure it's in great condition. So when they do walk in your house, they're going to go ahead and put in a contract and bid on that property. I mean, we price them for where the buyer pool is. And sometimes we know they're coming in 50 or 100,000 over, and we sure get that, right? So one group decided they didn't want to do all of the fix up, maybe a little of the fix up, not all of it. So they made 50,000 over list price when everyone else was making 100 or 120,000 over list price. So my conclusion to that is by saving $5,000 of not putting in some lighting and some other stuff, hardware, you cost yourself $50,000 to $60,000, $70,000. So again, that falls in line with what we always say. If you invest 1%, you get back 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, right? So if you invested $5,000, you would have got back $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000. So again, if you prepare your homes correctly and you're priced correctly, you're going to sell. But if you don't, look at the numbers. 7 out of 10 homes are sitting on the market, not selling. So knowing the success rate is important to operations, whether you're listing a home. Now, I have a colleague down in Richmond, and he runs the largest real estate team company in Richmond. Name's Rick Jarvis. Brilliant guy, stats oriented, does not do success charts. So I showed him how to do this. So we did success charts for Richmond and his market areas. 68%. 70% in some markets. So he has a success rate in Richmond of 68 to 70%. Now, when you're in that market, and he kind of was floored by seeing our market compared to his market. So I think it's pretty interesting to see not only different cities, but cities from different regions of the state of Virginia. So yeah, Richmond, their homes, not as expensive up as we have up here, but there are 68 to 70% under contract. So again, those sellers are playing a different ball game than we're playing up here when we talk about, you know, being in a buyer's market. We're in a buyer's market, they're in a big seller's market. Big difference on how we work on things. Let's talk about renting versus owning. Let's go back to 2010. Because real estate is a long-term, lifelong investment, okay? So let's go to 2010. Two couples get married. They're both going to have kids and settle down. One decides they're going to rent. One decides they're going to own, okay? Now, the renters are saying, well, you know, prices just fell in 2007, 8, and 9. I don't trust the market. I'm just going to rent, right? The other couple said, I want to buy a home. I want to be able to stay in this home for a long period of time. I want to fix the home up. I want to make it our own. I want to put down roots. And so they buy their home. So what happens between the renter and the owner has been dramatic, okay? And these are real live numbers. In 2010, you could rent a house for about $2,600 that was a 3,000 square foot home built in 1970s, because that's what all the rentals were at that time, built in the 1970s, all of the stats. So they paid $2,600, okay? Over time, if they continue to rent, the rent for a 1970s 3,000 square foot home is now $4,100, okay? So now let's go back to the other couple that said, we're going to buy. So they put down their money, they buy a house, they're paying $3,500 a month over what the renter is paying. Now that's after taxes, after they get a tax rebate. And if you don't know what that is, you need a better realtor. Get a good realtor, call one of my, you know, I want to stop right now. They came out with these stats, which are pretty crazy. So Samson Properties has 150 qualified agents over $10 million. They're called masterminds. We have a mastermind group. It's a great group. Seven out of my agents that work on my team, I would be number 8. So there'd be 8 masterminds on our team. By far the largest group of masterminds you're ever going to see. So, you know, we have all of these people qualified masterminds, and every one of them brings something to the table. Johnny brings something, Pat brings something, Pam brings something, Morgan, Colby, Billy, Kelly, all of them just blow my mind with the best policies and procedures we have. So when I say get a good agent, we've got 7 agents that work as buyer brokers on my group. So anyways, let's get back to this. The person that bought the home in 2010, a little shaky because we've just been through a financial collapse. We weren't exactly the strongest group. Confidence wasn't exactly high, but they bought that home for $850,000. That home today, a 3,000 square foot home built in the 1990s, which is what they've been living in, and doesn't look like the 1990s anymore because they've been updating it, right? You've gotten hardware and your paint, and now everything looks current in your house. You can't do that to a rental because it's not your house, but you can paint it, make it look current, and live in a current house if you own it. The home is now worth $1.55 million. The renter can't afford it. The renter can't afford it, right? Now interest rates are 6.5%, 7%. The house costs $1.55 million, not $850 anymore. So you can see the distress that they talk about in the Wall Street Journal and some of the stress of renters thinking they're never going to own. They're never going to own, right? So the owner right now, not only has the price gone to 1.55, which that's $700,000 worth of equity. It's a big number, right? Okay. But while they've been doing it, their mortgage payment has been going down. So their mortgage is actually falling, right? So let's say they knock off a couple $100,000, 200,000, they have $700,000 in profit and $200,000 in pay down, and now have $900,000 in equity in that house. Someone decided to own, someone decided to rent. Now, maybe a lot of 30-somethings aren't listening to these shows. Their parents are. And I will tell you that the number one source for our buyers that are buying houses is the bank of mom and dad. So the bank of mom and dad are very interested in their kids. They know they're not, the parents know that the kids need to own a house. That's the proper way to do it over time. So a lot of parents do put up down payment money. They do help with that money to get them in a house. They do want to have their grandkids grow up around them in their same, so they can get to the kids. Every time I sell a house, so where are you going? We're going to Cleveland. Ah, that's where the grandkids are, huh? Yep, that's where the grandkids are. Denver, Philadelphia, they'll go anywhere the grandkids are. That's where they'll kind of settle. Richmond. So, so I think that the parents and the kids need to have a come to Jesus meeting and say, how are we going to get into a house? I don't care how you do it. And again, back then the renters were paying $2,600. The homeowners were $3,500 after taxes. That was stretching it. That was $900 more. That was a big number. But not anymore, it's not. They grew into it. They have $700,000 worth of equity. If you are a parent or you are a realtor, it is your job to get those young people into a house. Buy something. Buy a single family detached home. Get the smallest single family detached home you can and get in that. Not the biggest condo, not the biggest townhouse. Single family detached are going to appreciate faster than anything. Even our small little salt box houses in Vienna are going for $800,000 now. They were going for $450,000. Going for $800,000. But you always want to be, you kind of want to be the smaller house in the bigger neighborhoods. So that's good investment strategy. And as you go along, sometimes the people will knock down that house and then build the house on top of it, because now they pay down their mortgage. They have a lot of equity. They can go in and borrow money from a bank to build a dream house on their own lot and never move. Hell of a great, that's a great move for anybody to make. So for those listeners to Coffee with Casey, the professional realtors, the moms, the dads, the people that are listening about how they're going to sell their own home, you need to think about how are we going to get the kids into owning their own home. You know, Carol and my biggest goal was these kids are getting through college. They're not going to have any debt. The next one was get them into a house. All of them successfully own a house. They're all settled down, having grandkids, and everything is great. That's the path to success. If they're not on it, help them. Get them on it. My name is Casey Samson. You've been listening to Coffee with Casey. Today has been about market conditions. Inventory is rising. Success rates are not. People are making mistakes out there. And I'm going to make one prediction. Within 2 months, 40 to 50% of the homes on the market will withdraw unsold. Our withdrawal rate is going to go through the roof. And again, the dangerous thing is most people that have their homes on the market are not just doing it because they want to. They're doing it because they have to. Death, divorce, downsizing, maybe loss of job, or, you know, they've had an adjustment in their industry. They've got to sell their house. Within 2 to 3 months in the summer, 40 to 50% of the homes will withdraw unsold. Mark my words, it's coming. It happens every year, and it's going to come hard this year based on the inventory and success rate. My name is Casey Samson. You can reach me at 703-508-2535. We're just completing our move-in to Casey Samson team is setting up office over top of Coco Vienna in Vienna. If you've ever been in downtown Church Street, beautiful, historic, the place to be. We'll be at 120 Church Street, right above the chocolate factory. And yes, you can smell chocolate in that office. That's where we'll have all our settlements. That's where we'll have all our meetings. Great space. We hope to see you there. The door's unlocked. Come on up and say hi. Again, if you're looking for me, 703-508-2535 or Casey at CaseySampson.com. See you again next week. Bye now.